We're about 9 months into one of the longest periods of enforced isolation, separation, and loneliness than most people probably alive today have had to experience. And we're also now entering into a holiday season that many people feel has to be spent in separation as well. Both Thanksgiving and Christmas is not that far off. But that doesn't mean that there aren't things that we can potentially do to try to deepen the sense of connection that is available to us. And we're very thankful to be joined by an expert on the topic of friendship, loneliness, isolation, and all of that. The author of the Friendship Upgrade, Trade Clickable Connections for Friendships That Matter, Heather Dugan, joins us on the Damage Report now. Heather, welcome.
Hello there. Thank you so much. Yeah, 2020 has kind of been like the road trip from hell. We have the pandemic in the driver's seat, these divisive politics kind of riding shotgun, and the navigation system extending the ETA indefinitely. It's been awfully tough on relationships. People are not operating with the normal patience. Our focus is different. You hear a lot about the working moms feeling, the pain they feel at shortchanging their children. And we came into this actually before the pandemic already with a big issue in terms of loneliness and isolation, all in the US, but all over the world actually. So I've been tracking that for the last 8 years or so. And between 2017 and 2018, that number, the people that identified as lonely went from 54% up to 61%. That was just through 2018. So, I mean, we can't even imagine what it would be now.
I can't.
Right.
So I'm curious, what are some of the effects of this? Like even before the pandemic, but I'm assuming it's gotten worse during it. What are some of the things that we worry that will cause for people?
Right. Well, over time, if you are kind of alone with the voice in your head more and more, that voice isn't always very kind to you, and it definitely limits your perspective on everything. And there's been a lot of research on the cognitive changes that begin to occur. So if somebody feels disconnected, if they feel like they don't have meaningful conversations with others, or feel connected to the people they're with, it's not a matter of being with people, but feeling actually like they get you, they understand you, and it goes, there's a two-way thing going there. Over time, we begin to perceive and process things even differently, which impacts the way we approach and respond to other people. Kind of neutral events skew to the negative. Even happy moments just kind of land in the middle. So if somebody, perhaps, here's an example, if somebody doesn't see you and walks on by, a lot of that's happening with our masks on right now, right? People might interpret that if they've been alone for a while as they're ignoring me. And then that's kind of confirming the whole picture they have in their head. When somebody's alone like that, they take it as a personal failing, when actually, and I go into this in my book, there are a lot of other things that have factored into this. It is an outcome that often is from totally uncontrollable circumstances and events. So, the danger is of perpetuating the situation. And that's where, like, now as we go into the holiday season, especially, be aware that there are people that very well, 61%, a year ago, or 2 years ago, that are feeling very disconnected, and they may need a little help, a little more reaching out from those around them.
Do you think? So it might be that we can identify some of those people relatively easily, but if we're not sure, what are some of the things you would look out for to identify people that might need a little bit more outreach? Right.
Well, you know what? You kind of become aware. I mean, I have some friends that I know. They're introverted. They hibernate from time to time. And you just kind of, after a period of time, I make it a point to check on them. And it's just knowing that somebody notices you, that they remember that you're there. And it doesn't have to be huge, but it should be consistent. Family members, I think it helps us too, as we're going through such a difficult time, if our focus, we kind of get self-absorbed in the middle of something like this. There's fears, we're feeling protective. It helps our perspective if we can begin to think about others around us and really be a little more proactive in the things we're doing. And if you one thing I like to recommend, if you have some damage out of this, having the time apart because of the pandemic is not such a bad thing to let things cool down a bit. And we're gonna have to rebuild on so many levels at a gradual pace, with our expectations a little low to begin with. But understanding, kindness and respect are kind of the thing we expect that from others and we give that to them. But we can't expect agreement. We can't expect, big changes and people that have been kind of pursuing one direction their whole life. You can hope to maybe share your perspective and get something from them. But understanding that even when we disagree, often we still share the same values, but we just weight them quite differently, depending on our perspective, or what we've gone through in our own personal lives. But I think, the reaching out is really important for sure.
Okay.
And
I was curious. So we've obviously we're more isolated, like as you were saying, we were isolated before this. It's gotten worse for a lot of really understandable reasons. We also, especially in the, it didn't take long into the pandemic that we had some new tools to keep us connected. This Zoom took off, and people seem to have become very used to being on, teleconferencing and video chat and things like that. As a solution, how do you rate that? Is that a stand-in for more traditional connection?
Well, it's certainly better than nothing, but even now as we speak to one another, it appears like I'm looking at you at this moment, but I'm looking at the little green light at the top of my screen. So you can't connect in the moment. So there's like a little bit of a disconnect there. And in my book, I go into one of the big issues. The last 30 years or so, we have had this increasing reliance on digital. It's not that we're lazy, but we will go to the easiest route, just kind of like water, going downhill, right? But so, we've gone more to the texting and to the emails and the social media. And I don't know if you're familiar with domo.com. They put out this infographic every year called Data Never Sleeps. And it is incredible to see the amount of data we generate that was not a part of our lives before. So, a facial expression is not the same as an emoji. We have lost a lot of the visual cues that we have typically relied on to really understand one another. So communication, we've moved from conversation to simple communication. And that's not what connects us and makes us feel like healthy people. It's a biological need to have that connected feeling. And a lot of people are suffering.
Do you think, a lot of what you're talking about isn't necessarily specific to the quarantine? The quarantines might exacerbate some parts of that. Do you see, looking a year or two into the future, that whatever effects we're seeing from this now are effectively going to be washed out? Or do you think that the changes to the way we congregate, the way we communicate, are going to have more of a durable impact going forward?
I hope that we are gleaning some good things out of this. We have that opportunity, certainly. I kind of like to look at challenges as potential opportunities, depending on our perspective. But keeping in mind that people are having potentially cognitive changes happening in the way they're going to reach out to other people, it's really important that communities get proactive in terms of kind of building a system for reaching out to these people, and those that, and personally, just understanding yourself, what might be happening in your own head, and making that decision to do what's good for you, even if it doesn't feel like something you feel like. We're kind of creatures of habit, Friends are like, I'd like to go out again, but I don't. It seems like that'd take a lot of work, when we get to that point. Some of the ones that work from home, the introverts, it's not so bad sometimes, but we need to be thinking about that. And I think the more that we can move our actual communication into conversation, either phone calls are wonderful, and maybe try to do phone calls where you're not multitasking. Think about how we used to do the phone. You were tethered to a space, or you would get entangled in a phone cord. Now, Baylor University coined the term phubbing, as they did some research a few years ago, which is phone snubbing. And we accept that behavior now. We live these on-demand lifestyles and make apologies when we aren't available, but we aren't truly available when we're available, when we work that way.
Yeah, interesting. This is all fascinating, obviously very timely, but as you've pointed out repeatedly, a lot of these questions are from before the pandemic. A lot of the answers theoretically are going to apply once we're out of it. And so I recommend to everyone watching this now, the book is The Friendship Upgrade, Trade Clickable Connections for Friendships That Matter. Heather Dugan, we really appreciate you joining us today on the show.
Thank you so much, John. Nice chatting with you.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.